Hi, I'm Jamel with Recherche Kennels in beautiful Statesville, North Carolina. In this video, what I'd like to go through is our most extensive training program we have in our Puppy Training Institute that we call Doggy Double Doctorate. This is our most extensive training that we have to date, and I know it kind of sounds funny saying Doggy Double Doctorate. We kind of ran out of educational names, so we just went with that. It is a unique program for three main things. The biggest one is that they go home with a professional trainer. They up till 6 months of age, they live here full time. That's all they do. And then they're obedience trained, they're potty trained, they're crate trained. We have living rooms here. Literally, we have couches and televisions and everything. They're like little mini living rooms. And we train them potty training here. We take them on field trips. In Doggy Double Doctor, they will go home every night with a trainer, and every weekend they will stay in the trainer's home. And so that is exceptional because they're brought back here every day and they're given the same exact training as they were given before. They were getting the same obedience training, the same potty training, crate training, all the things that they normally get. The difference is now they're going home, and so they're getting double to triple the amount of training in that program. The other thing that makes this different, it's a month-to-month program. You can get your puppy home at 7 months all the way to 12 months of age. We don't do any less than 1 month because they will regress when they go home to their new family's house. And so we know that. For the first 2 to 3 weeks, they're going to go backwards in their potty training, in their crate training, in their obedience training, kind of like they will when they go to a new home. And so they have to relearn everything in a completely new environment. And so it really stretches them, and then they really start doing good. But then when they go home to you, it's going to be so much easier because they've already had a transition. So we highly recommend, if possible, to keep your puppy at least 2 months. And that is probably the most popular time. All the goals that we're going to be giving you in a little bit is for a puppy that goes home at 8 months. But obviously a puppy that stays in training until 12 months of age is going to be better. A puppy at 7 months of age is going to be a little bit worse. And so the goals are going to be varied. So this is the most unique time because the goals, it's really hard to quantify because it goes from 7 months all the way to 12 months. The other thing that makes this unique is that we can do individual training to the best of our ability. Up to 6 months of age, we work with what we say on our website. We do these exact things. We can do a little bit of individual training, but mostly we're just trying to get them to master their house training, their potty training, their obedience training. But by 6 months of age, they have their obedience commands mastered. They're doing really well with potty training. Now we can work individually. And so if you have something specific you want us to work on, you let us know, and we will do our best to start training them for your family. And so those are the advantages of the Doggy Double Doctorate program. What I'd like to do is kind of go through, summarize the 4 pillars of our Puppy Training Institute, and kind of give you goals of what to expect in each of the levels. I'm not going to be as specific as I was in the last training levels, so if you want to watch the Doggy Doctorate video, that will give you more specific. But I'm going to go ahead and summarize the differences between a Doggy Doctorate puppy and a Doggy Double Doctorate puppy training till 8 months of age. Again, the first pillar of our Puppy Training Institute is house training, and this is the area that probably improves the most in Doggy Double Doctorate, simply because they are now potty training not just here, but also in a completely new environment. So they're getting, instead of just 4 to 5 hours a day here, they're getting another 4 to 5 hours a day in their homes, and then obviously all weekend in a regular home. And so a puppy at this age, a Doggy Doctor, they're holding the restroom 4 to 5 hours during the day. But the difference is now they're doing it in 2 completely different environments. So their potty training is so much better. Their crate training is so much better. A puppy, 9 to 10 hours is what they do at Doggy Doctorate, which is basically the same. They don't do much longer than that the older they get. The difference, though, again, is now they're being crate trained in a completely new home. They have to learn to be quiet in a completely new home, to hold the restroom in a completely new home. As they say with their kennel, they go into the kennel in a completely new home. So again, this is the area where it probably gets twice as good. So they're just doing much better. Chew training. Here, as I mentioned in previous videos, we put toys in the ground. We have a little rug on the ground, and we also have a shoe and maybe even a newspaper or something like that on the ground. And we still keep that up here. And if they grab something they shouldn't, we say, or no, and they drop it. And they rarely by this age are doing it. Well, now they're in a completely new environment, and there's an infinite amount more temptations. And so they're being told no, and so they will know even more that there's things to chew and things not to chew. And every one of our trainers are trainers, and they know what they're doing, and they're not going to let the dog get away with chewing something they shouldn't. By this age, even past 6 months of age, they're never biting, so bite training is no longer an issue. Jump training, and when they get into a new environment, they're going to, out of comfort, want to jump up, and so they may regress a little bit for the first week or two in their new home. But by this age, they have another couple of months of not jumping up, and so it's very rare for a puppy in Doggy Double Doctorate to jump up. And if they do, a quick and they jump back down. And then stair training. Of course, here we have open set of stairs and closed set of stairs. They're going up and down at very fast paces. Well, a lot of our homes have stairs, and so they're learning stairs in a completely new environment. So that is house training in Doggy Double Doctorate. The second pillar of our Puppy Training Institute is obedience training. We again have professional certified trainers, dog trainers, that work with obedience alone, and they have trained this puppy since they were 6 weeks of age on sit, down, stay, come, place, and kennel. By Doggy Double Doctorate, they have their commands mastered. Not only do they have their commands mastered with our professional trainer, at Master's Program and beyond, we actually, and Doggy Doctor and beyond, we switch up trainers, so they learn from a different trainer. And then they go home and live with the trainer. And many times that's a third person, but they're able to do all their obedience commands with anybody and everybody. They have so much more maturity at this age that it's really hard to mess up a Doggy Double Doctorate puppy. They will obey with hand signals, with words, and with the training lead, all independently of each other, for every one of these commands with our trainers, with you, and with me. They have these commands mastered. We also in Doggy Double Doctorate can do specific instructions. So if you have something you want us to work with your puppy on that's specific to you, you let us know. Because they have their commands mastered, all we are working on is working on the 3 Ds: distance, duration, and training with distraction. So we're getting them to really, really master their commands as much as possible. So we do have time though to work on something else if you have something else you want us to work on. But let me kind of give you the goals for a typical 8-month-old. Again, this program goes for 7 to 12 months, so it's going to be different. A typical 8-month-old can, again, with sit, they can do it with hand signals only, with words only, with the lead only. Same thing with down. Point to the ground, they'll go down. You pop on the leash sideways, they'll go down. You can say them all together or say them individually. Pop on the lead, just give the hand signal. Again, it's mastered. The down stay, the stay, they will hold the stay with hand signals only, with the word only, and they will be able to hold the sit stay for about 30 seconds at a distance of 30 feet, a typical 8-month-old. And then also an 8-month-old for a down stay, that's laying on the ground. That's a little bit easier for them. It's harder for them to break it when they're laying down. They can do it for 45 seconds at a distance of 40 feet. The come command, at a normal voice, a puppy can come on command in a normal voice, come, for at a distance around 60 feet. In a low voice, it's around 20 feet. So if the trainer will get about 20 feet from them and say the word come in a very soft voice, they should be able to come. The place command is to jump up on the chronocot. Again, I can't emphasize enough, buy the chronocot, not just any cot, but the chronocot. 1, because it's indestructible, but 2, and most importantly, it's what they're used to. And so you'll be able to control your dog anywhere at any time. You can take that chronocot, take it to a ball game. You have a way to teach your dog stay and come at any time, anywhere, and they'll be able to hold the stay there for 40 seconds at the distance of 45 feet. When we say the word kennel, they'll go into the kennel, and they will stay in that kennel with the open door, bare minimum 45 seconds at a distance of 45 feet with the door open. And so they will hold that for typically even longer than that. Their commands are mastered at this age, and so that's the great thing about Doggy Double Doctorate in the second part of obedience training. The third pillar of our Puppy Training Institute is socialization training. And this is probably the biggest reason why we started the Doggy Double Doctorate program. As I've mentioned in almost every other video before, puppies go through a pretty strong fear period between the ages of 6 and 10 months. That is a time where they're just afraid of the most random things ever. It honestly reminds me of a lot of teenagers you meet where they're just insecure and they feel awkward. It happens with puppies, many puppies, not all of them. Some puppies are just fearless and they're never afraid of anything. But several times you'll run into puppies that all of a sudden are afraid of loud noises, of different things. And so We know that going into it. And we realized that if we kept our puppies here past 6 months of age, they would develop fears of anything that they're not used to. And so that's when several months ago we decided we had to do something different in our Doggy Double Doctorate program. And that's when we decided to have our puppies go home and live with a professional trainer. And what that really did, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, they do really much better with house training as a result. But the second, and honestly the biggest reason, is they are so much more socialized. They're so much more desensitized. Their fear issues go down drastically because they're not in one place. They're not living in one place. They're taken from place to place to place. Not only do they go home and live with the trainer, but if the trainer goes to a ball game, that puppy goes with them. They don't just leave the dog at home. That puppy is taken out and it is socialized extensively. And so 2 parts of socialization is, one is just general socialization, which is getting them used to strangers, getting them used to other animals. Almost every one of our trainers have animals, have cats, have other dogs. And so they have to learn to be introduced into a new fold, a new pack structure, if you would. They're taken on many vet trips and they're taken on field trips, and they're used to different people in different places. We already take them out to, when they're younger, to Lowe's and Home Depot. Well, now they're taken out everywhere and anywhere. They're fully vaccinated. We don't have to worry about them. And so it really stretches them. The second part of socialization is desensitization. Again, they come up with these random fears. And so some of the biggest fears, or the most common fears that puppies will have, is thunderstorms, hair dryers, blow dryers, the television, vacuum cleaners. Almost anything that makes a lot of noise, they can be afraid of, and it can be exasperated in that 6 to 10 months period. And so we really work hard at, when they're from a young pup and on, we play thunderstorm CDs. We play CDs of city sounds. We get them really desensitized. When they're in house training here, we have the TV playing, and so they're used to loud noises, but now they're in a completely new environment. They're being groomed here and they're being groomed in their home. And so they're used to the hair dryer, their teeth being cleaned, their ears being cleaned, their nails being trimmed, getting baths. It is a constant progress, and that is the biggest area of improvement that the puppies get in our Doggy Double Doctorate area, and that is the third area of socialization. The fourth and final pillar of our Puppy Training Institute is outside training. Now, there isn't a huge difference between a Doggy Doctorate puppy and a Doggy Double Doctorate puppy, but they do grow tremendously simply because they're being trained more and a lot more, and they're being trained by different people. The 4 parts of outside training, again, are leash training, car training, spot training, and swim training. Leash training. Obviously, they are worked with, again, every day, just like they normally are, with sit or with walking on the left side. They have it mastered. They're walking the left side. They are not pulling. They're not tugging. They can walk at a run. They can walk at a very slow pace. They will not walk in front. When we stop walking, they automatically sit. It's mastered. But they're also doing it with whoever's taking them home, whichever professional trainer is taking them home, and with their family. They'll walk on a leash on the left side with anybody at any time. The second part is car training. Well, they get a car trip at least every day because they're being driven here and driven home. And so they're riding in and out of a car. They're getting up and down in a car constantly, and then throughout the weekend, just like in your home, even more because they're going to work every day. And so their car training is just miles better. We typically do before 6 months, we do a weekly field trips. Well, now they're on a daily field trip. Thirdly is spot training. That's an area that they kind of lose a little bit because here, before that we have in their rooms, they have river rock and they're trained to go on that river rock. Well, now they go home in a new environment and they learn to go to the restroom in their new little area. So that's an area that they probably regress a little bit, but it's the area that most people don't use hardly. And then the last area is swim training. This is the area that we use only if it's warmer weather. The last thing we want to do is if it's 30 degrees out to put the puppy in a pool, and it'll actually cause the opposite reaction. But they will get that much more time in our pool. They'll get that much more swimming time if the weather's warmer. And they may not love it. Not all dogs love it, but they'll at least know how to swim, and they're not going to absolutely panic if put in water. That is the fourth level of the fourth pillar in our Puppy Training Institute. I hope this video helped you understand what is our Doggy Double Doctorate program. Again, the goals are all very fluid because the Doggy Double Doctorate goes from 7 to 12 months. So obviously the longer they're in training, the better they're going to be doing. And we are very flexible, so if it needs to be between those months, again, we can do that. Thank you so much. I hope this helped, and God bless.